Contreras pops it up. Where is it? Nobody sees it. It might fall. It does! Taking off from first is Terang. Nobody's at second base. Everybody's safe. And now Craig Counsell wants to know why the infield fly rule wasn't in effect.
And I want to know why this dumb rule is still in effect to this day in 2025 in the way it's worded. Okay, I'm going to go over all this. I don't agree with the way that this rule works. But it doesn't matter because I don't write the rules. But I am going to break it down. I'm going to explain to you why this happened. I'm going to explain what we understand of this entire umpire explanation. And, oh, by the way, the Cubs won this game to stay alive, and they had another crazy first inning. We're going to break it all down right now. So we're going to start with the first batter of the game. It's Christian Yelich. Again, Brewers are up 2-0 in this series. Cubs are trying to fight for their life. And, of course, Christian Yelich does this on the second pitch of the game, doubles down the right field line. Jameson Taillon hanging that curveball, and Cubs are already in danger of going down. It'd be the first time that they went down first in the first inning. They had been up in the first innings. If you haven't seen all of these first innings in the first couple games, they've been insane. Go check them out. But after Jackson Chourio ground out to third base, then it's a walk to Bryce Terang, and this is your William Contreras fly out. Should be an infield fly. Let's go ahead and talk about this for a second. So ball falls down. Everyone's safe. It's now bases loaded with 1 out when it should have been first and second with 2 outs. And Craig Counsell is coming out and he's saying, what the hell, guys? And I have to ask the same thing, Craig. So I'm not good at reading lips. Tried watching again and again and again. I don't know what's being said. If you have any idea, please comment down below. But from what we understand, Craig Counsell looking so stoic and being like, yeah, okay, that sounds about right, is because of the way that this rule is worded. When this rule applies, we're going to just go ahead and skip down to the bottom one there because the first 3 apply. The final one here, the umpire's judgment apparently does not apply. The umpire must judge that an infielder or pitcher-catcher could catch the ball with ordinary effort. Does that sound subjective to you? Yeah, that's because it is. This is a stupid way to put a rule in. Fix it, MLB. This is dumb. An ordinary effort. How are you going to determine what an ordinary effort is? How about we put some specifics in here? Within 30 feet of an infielder, in the air for a certain amount of time. Let's put some actual dynamics behind this so that it's not just like, hey, did you think he should catch that? No, I didn't think he should catch it. So we're just going to go ahead and say that it's a single. I'm going to show the replay here in a second, but for those of you that are like, well, why would they even have this rule? Because I'm sure everyone who's ever been a baseball fan has always wondered, what is the infield fly rule all about? Well, if you ask ChatGPT, and this is essentially what I've always been told as well, essentially imagine those runners on first and second and no outs or 1 out, and the batter pops up on the infield. It's an easy catch for an infielder. Normally, the runners must stay close to their bases. So if they have to stay close to their bases, the ball is caught, and the ball is not caught, they'll get doubled off because for that fielder intentionally letting the ball drop, they can pick it up, they can throw it to second, they can throw it to first, and it's a cheap double play. That's why this rule is in place. If this rule was not in place, how many times would that happen? Probably not that often. Maybe it would. Maybe that'd be something that they actually practice in spring training if it wasn't a rule. But for that reason, it is a rule. So again, let's go back to this wording right here. The umpire must judge that an infielder or pitcher-catcher could catch the ball with ordinary effort. That's a very key thing here. Or pitcher-catcher. Because when this ball is hit in the air, look at exactly what happens. Michael Busch immediately, hands up, can't see it. Jameson Taillon, what's he doing? Right there. It's right there. He is within, 30 feet of just going over and camping under that ball and catching the ball. But what does he do? He does what he's supposed to do. He goes over to third base and he says, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and get out of the way. I'm going to let all my infielders just go ahead and do their thing. I don't want to be in the middle of this. Well, the ball falls. Michael Busch, of course, the entire time never saw it. That's not an ordinary play for Nico. That's not an ordinary play for Carson, but they both end up being the closest ones to the ball. And we've got Bryce Terang over at first base about, 5-6 feet off the bag. That should easily be Carson Kelly throwing over to second. No big deal. We've got first and third with 2 outs. But look at where Mr. Dansby Swanson's at. He's near the mound. What are you doing over there, Dansby? That was never your ball. Why are you even close to there? Of course, what I do have to defend Dansby on here is that very rarely when an infield pop-up happens is an infield fly rule not called. So Dansby probably at this point, with it being loud, with it being an unusual situation, it's probably just like, oh, well, this ball is going to be caught and no one's going to advance anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and go near the ball. Just probably not even thinking about it, but he needs to be at second base there. He absolutely needs to be at second base because what ends up happening is it's a foot race over to second, and as you can see, Bryce Terang wins that foot race. Two things here that I want to point out. Number one, I've already said it. It's an ordinary effort for Jameson Taillon, so why isn't it called? Number two, why does the conditions of the field have to matter in this play? Just because there's sun, just because there's wind, that's not in the rule. It doesn't say if the conditions make it an unordinary effort, then that should be factored in. It doesn't say that. This is too subjective. In my opinion, if I'm an umpire and I subjectively am out there saying an ordinary effort, had the sun not been there and the wind not been a factor, then I think this is a very ordinary effort. That's how I would look at it. But unfortunately, the umpires, all in agreement, apparently the broadcast team was too, saying, yeah, this was a pop-up that wasn't an ordinary effort. Completely disagree. So then 3 pitches later, you have Sal Frelick flying out to the left field, deep enough for Christian Yelich to go ahead and come home and score. That would have been the third out. Instead, it is a sac fly, and it is 1-0 Brewers. The first lead they've had before the Cubs so far in this series, yet they're up 2-0. But here is the fun part, Cubs fans, because the Cubs, as we know, have just been like an all-star hitting team in the first inning of all these games. Not much after that. But they did the same thing in this one, and they did it in a very fun way against Mr. Quinn Priester. They worked it with deep at-bats, professional at-bats, and I'm going to show you the action pitch, what number pitch that was in every single at-bat here. So, 6th pitch of Michael Busch's leadoff bomb. I don't care that the wind is blowing in. That thing is hammered. And we have a 1-1 game. Second leadoff home run for Michael Busch in this series. Come on. Then you have Nico Horner on, guess what? The 6th pitch, singling up the middle, a rocket right back at Priester. And now he's on first base with 1 out. Kyle Tucker, after actually trying to bunt in this at bat, yes, your number 3 batter who's supposed to get paid over $400 million next year is trying to bunt. On the 5th pitch, walks. Up next, Seiya Suzuki with a 2-2 count. Rockets one to right field. This is just a stupid good play, but it's on the 6th pitch, okay? Deep counts. Sal Frelick. Not only does he have the RBI so far for the Brewers, but he also has this great play. It's a very difficult right field corner over there. That's very impressive. Snow Cone makes the catch. That would have been a triple, would have cleared the bases. Instead, it's first and third with 1 out. And on the 6th pitch, great take from Ian Happ there. Wow. He took it like he knew that was a ball all the way. I'm sure he probably was like, did that clip? So now you have bases loaded for Carson Kelly. 0-2, gets too much of the plate. That's a double. No, that's foul. Okay, that came within just a couple feet of once again clearing the bases. If you've never seen a foul ball from this angle, look at this Frisbee. I mean, just the side spin on that to create that kind of spin. And that is why they call it a game of inches. And then once again on the 6th pitch, his action pitch is actually a strikeout. Big blow right there. But then Mr. Pete Crow Armstrong here on actually the shortest at bat of the inning is a 2-run single with 2 outs, and the Cubs have a 3-1 lead. Can we please check out the celebration by this guy? I have no idea who this is, but that needs to be the new celebration for the Cubs right there. I don't know what he's doing, but that's funny. Wrigley is loud. Quinn Priester is out of there. After 39 pitches, he only gets 2 outs, and he's responsible for the runners on first and third, already giving up 3 runs. Nick Mears is not having much of a good time either, comes in, and another great at-bat by Dansby. Starts off with this wild pitch. That's your 4th run for the Cubs in the first inning. Again, that's all they needed. They win this game 4-3. And after a 9-pitch walk to Dansby Swanson, and then a 6-pitch strikeout to Matt Shaw, you have yourself a 53-pitch first inning by the Brewers, forced by the Cubs. That was fun. It didn't happen for innings 2 through 9, which was really unfortunate. It is different pitchers, but it was a different approach as well by the Cubs. But you got to love what you saw. Hopefully they can carry it over to game number 4. And Brad Keller gets the final 4 outs, and the Cubs survive one more day here in the 2025 playoffs.